Greeting dear friends, you are welcome to this video tutorial. In this tutorial, we will talk about IDE programming using Java NetBeans, and this is part 2 of this topic. In part 1, we have already covered relationship among project, form and controls, how to create new applications, design them, code them and run them, J option pane and button control. Now, in part 2, we are going to cover label control, text field control, password control, radio button control, text area control, and checkbox control. Now, let us see what is a label control. Label provides text instructions or information. It displays a single line of read-only text, an image, or both text and image. So you can display either a single line of text, image, or both text and image, and text is readable only. You cannot edit this text. So if you look at the swing control screen, the label will appear like this. You can see the label button. It looks like this. Now here we are discussing few properties and methods of label control. There are various other properties and methods, but in this video I am discussing the few important ones. So the first one is background. It sets the background color of label. The next is foreground property. This property sets the foreground color of label. Next is font property. It sets font of text on label. The text which is appearing on label, you can set the font of that text. Next is the text property. It is used to set the text displayed on label. So whatever text is being displayed on label, that can be set using the text property. Now few of the methods of label control are is enabled. This method returns true if label is enabled, otherwise it returns false. So its usage is like this. Boolean B, where B is a Boolean type variable. JLabel1 dot is enabled. Here JLabel1 is the label field which is created in the design area. The next is setVisible. It is used to make the label visible or invisible. So the example of it is JLabel1 dot setVisible false. So this command will make the label invisible, and JLabel1 dot setVisible true. This command will make the label1 visible. The next is the setText. This command sets the text on label at runtime. So if you want to change the text which is present on the label at runtime, you can use this method JLabel1 dot setText and then within quotes enter name. So this command will set this text enter name on the label JLabel1. Label control example. Now in this example there will be two parts, designing and coding. First we will learn how to design a screen and then we will learn to code it. Now suppose the question is write a program to create a form having a label and 3 buttons. If the red button is pressed, the text in the label should change to red color and so on. Your screen should look like this. There should be one label control and there will be 3 buttons, red, green and blue. If red button is pressed, then this text should appear in red color. If green button is pressed, this should appear in green color. And if blue button is pressed, this text should appear in blue color. Now let us first see how we can design the screen. Now you first go to the design area. Now let us learn how to add label control to the form. Drag and drop the label control from the swing palette into the design area. So you have already seen the swing palette. This is the swing controls. So you just drag and drop this label control to design area. Now select the label component by clicking on it. When you click on it in the properties window, you will be able to see all the properties of this label control. Now you have to set the text property of this label control to be patient. See, this is the text which is appearing on this label. So we will change the text to be patient. So please remember this is the text property of label. Now we have to add 3 buttons. Let us add them one by one. Now for this, We will drag and drop the button control from swing palette into the design area. Then we will select the button component by clicking on it. Once you will click on it, the properties of, you can see the first button will open up, and in this property just change the text to red. You have to set the text property of the first button to red. Similarly, you create other two buttons and set the text property of the second button to green and the text property of third button to blue. So in this way your designing will complete. Let us go to the coding part. Now in the coding part, now there are three buttons and we have to set the coding for all of them. Now to write the code for the buttons designed in the previous screen, we will switch to source window. We have to go to the source window. We can also double click the button. We can double click this button to reach the source code window. Now it is very important to learn that by default, each control is assigned a particular name which helps to identify that control. It means like if the control, suppose the first control is label, so it is assigned the name JLabel1 by default. Similarly, the buttons are assigned the name. The first button is assigned the name JButton1, second button is assigned the name JButton2, and the third button is assigned the name JButton3. So these are the names which are assigned by default, but we can always change the default name by right clicking on the control and selecting change variable name. So if you right click on this button, you will get this change variable name option. You can select this and you can give your own name. Now we have to add the code to button JButton1. I want this message to be displayed in red color. So I will give the command JLabel1 dot set foreground color dot red. So this will make the color of the JLabel control to red. The foreground color will be set to red. You can see here, if I double click on this, I will get this line is automatically written. I will add just this line of text to my first button. Similarly, I will click on the other two buttons and I will add the line control or command JLabel1 dot set foreground color dot green for the second button, and for the third button I will add the command JLabel1 dot set foreground color dot blue. So after adding the coding to all the buttons, I will run my program. So we have already discussed you can run your program using the run option present on the menu bar, or you can press Shift F6 to run your program. So when you run, you can see this is the output screen which will appear, and when I press the blue button, you can see here the blue button has been pressed. You can see it is looking quite different from the other two buttons because it is in pressed mode. So when this button is pressed, you can see the color of the label control is in blue. Whatever text is there, it is written in blue. Similarly, we can change the color of this text to red and green by pressing the first and the second button respectively. Text field control. Text field allows editing or displaying of a single line of text. So it is used to either display or edit a single line of text. For example, you can input name, phone number, etc. So if you see the swing control palette, the text field appears like this. Now here I am discussing again few properties and methods of text field control. The first property is the background property. It is used to set the background color. The next is the foreground property. It is used to set the foreground color of the text field. Now the font property sets the font of text on text field. So whatever font I set, all the text on the text field will appear in that font. Next is the text property. It sets the text which is to be displayed on the text field. Now let us discuss few methods. The first one is enabled. This method returns true if text field is enabled, otherwise it returns false. The usage is like this: boolean b is equal to j text field 1 dot is enabled. So you can see here, if it is enabled, if the text field is enabled, it will return true and that will be stored in the variable b, and if it is not enabled, it will return false. setVisible. This is used to make the button visible or invisible. Suppose I give a command jtextfield1 dot set visible false. This will make my text field invisible. So, and to make it visible, I will give the command jtextfield1 dot set visible true. Now, next method is setText. It is used to set the text on text field at runtime. So, I can say jtextfield1 dot set text and within double quotes welcome. So, this message will appear on the text field at runtime. Next is getText. This method is used to get the text from the text field. So, whatever text is stored in the text field, you can get that text using the getText method. And the example of its usage is string str equal to jtextfield1 dot getText. As it is a string type, so I'm taking string variable str, and it will, whatever text is stored in jtextfield1, that will be, now it will extract that text and store it in str. Is editable. This method returns true if the component is editable, otherwise it returns false. So if I write boolean b is equal to jtextfield1 dot is editable, so this command will return true if jtextfield1 is editable, otherwise it will return false. setEditable. This command makes the text field editable or non-editable. This command is just to check, and this set command is to make the text field editable or non-editable. So if I write jtextfield1 dot setEditable true, this will make my text field editable. And if I write jtextfield1 dot setEditable false, it will make my text field non-editable. Now let us again understand the difference among setEditable, setEnabled and setVisible. It is very important to understand. setEditable. Text fields are editable by default, that is, its contents can be changed at runtime. Editable means you can change the content of text field at runtime. The code setEditable false makes the text field uneditable. It is still selectable, you can select it, but you cannot change the content of the text field directly. setEnabled. The code setEnabled true implies that text field can trigger a reaction at runtime. It is enabled, it means it can trigger a reaction. The code setEnabled false disables this text field. It is not selectable. If the text field is disabled, then it means it is not selectable and the user cannot change the text field's contents directly. Next is setVisible. setVisible true implies that the component is visible on the form, and setVisible false implies that component is hidden. Now let us understand the example of text field control. Again, there are two parts, designing and coding. Now the question is, you have to write a program to input your name and display the message good morning and the name entered. So whatever name has been entered in the text field, that name should appear with the good morning message. So first we will design the screen. Now to design the screen, I need a label control, a button control and a text field control. So to first I will add a label control. I'll drag and drop the label control from the swing palette into the design area. Now select the label component by clicking on it. So when you click on it, you can see the properties of the label control, and you can set the text of the label control as enter your name. Now I will add one text field control. To add the text field control, just drag and drop the text field control from swing palette into the design area. Now select the text field component by clicking on it. Now you just click on it so that you can see the properties of this text field in the properties window. Now remove the default. When you click on it, you can see the text by default set is jtextfield1. Just remove whatever is written here and make it empty. Now add the button control. To add the button control, drag and drop the button control from swing palette into the design area. Now select the button component by clicking on it. When you select it, the properties of button will open up. Now set the text property of button to click. You can see here I have set the text property of button to click. Now after adding all these, my form will look like this. This is my form where I've entered one label, which is enter your name. This is my text field and this is my button on which click is written. Now the coding part. Now to write the code for the button designed in the previous screen, we will switch to source window. Either go to source window, see I've opened the source window here, and also you can double click on this button to reach the source code window. Now I have to add the code to display the message. So I will use the J option pane. J option pane dot show message dialog null comma good morning plus J text field 1 dot get text. So see, when I run this program, this screen will appear. I will enter my name here, and when I click on this button, this command will run, and in this command, this getText method will extract the text, whatever is written here in the text field, and add it to good morning. So you can see the plus sign, which is the concatenation operator. We will discuss it in detail in my later videos. For now, you just understand whatever is written here, this will be added to good morning. So after running, this will be the output of my program. So you can see here the J option pane, it looks like this. Now let us once again understand the difference between label control and text field control. You can see here this is my label control and this is my text field control. Label control only displays a single line of read-only text. It can be image also, or it can be both text and image. And please remember that text is read-only. However, text field allows editing or displaying of a single line of text. You can see the appearance of both the controls. The label control appears like this when you run your program, and text field control appears like this. So this text cannot be changed during runtime, but this text can be changed or during runtime. Password control. It is used to enter confidential input like passwords, which are single line. It suppresses the display of input, and each character entered can be replaced by an echo character. By default, the echo character is a streak, but it can be changed with the help of echo char property of password control. So you can see on the swing control palette, your password field looks like this. And here are the few properties of it. The first is the background property, which sets the background color of password control. Foreground property, it sets the foreground color of password control. Font, it sets the font of text which appears on the password control. Text, it sets the text displayed on the password control. You can always change the text if you desire. And echo char, a very important property. It sets the character that will be displayed instead of text. So instead of text or instead of a streak, you can always change the echo char character and make it according to your wish. Now let us take an example of password control. So the question is, write a program to input login ID and password and display the message you are logged in using message dialog. And please note that hash should appear while typing password. By default, it is, you can see here, it is a streak, but this time I want hash to appear while typing password. So I will first design the screen. I will add all the controls. First, I will add the label control. I have to add two label controls. One is for login ID and one is for password. So I can do the similar step. I can drag and drop the label control from the swing palette into the design area. Then select the label component, and its properties will appear, and I will set the text property of first label to login ID and text property of second control to password. Then I will add the button control. I will drag and drop the button control from the swing palette, select the button component by clicking on it and set its text property to click. Then I will add the text field control to the form. Two text field will be added, one to input login ID and other to input password. I will drag and drop the text field control from swing palette into the design area. Then I select the text field component by clicking on it. So you can see this window of property window of JTextField1. I will go to the text property and simply remove the default text which is written there. Then when I will add the password control to the form, I will drag and drop the password control from swing palette into the design area. Then I will select the password component by clicking on it. So I can see the properties of password field. It is J password field 1. So I will go to the echo char property and I will change it to hash. So whenever I will enter the password, the character which echo on the screen will be hash. So after adding all this, my screen will look like this. You can see this is the screen. And now I have to write a code on the click of this button. So I will go to the source window. You can see here this is the source window, or I can double click on it to go to the source window. And I will add the message using the J option pane dot show message dialog, null comma, you are logged in. So I will add this message. So when you can see this is the password field and the default name of this is J password field 1. The default name of this is J label 1, of this is J label 2, and of this is J text field 1, and of the password control is J password field 1. I will enter my password, and when I click on it, I will get a message, you are logged in. Now let us talk about the radio button control. Radio button is used when user has to select one option out of many mutually exclusive options given. For example, when I have to input gender, out of male or female, I will select only one. So on swing control, it will appear like this, and along with radio button, we use button group also, which appears like this on the swing control palette. Now let us learn few properties of radio button, few important properties. The first is the button group property. It specifies the name of the group of button to which the J radio button belongs. It is very important to specify the button group property of radio buttons to consider all the radio buttons in one group. Otherwise, it will give you an option to select more than one radio button, which is not correct. Out of the many radio buttons, only one should be selectable. The selected property, it sets the radio button as selected if set to true and default is false. Otherwise, it is by default it is false, but you can make it true so that that button will appear as selected during runtime. Now let us consider a few of its methods. Is selected. This method returns true if the radio button is checked. Otherwise, it returns false. So I'll give the statement boolean b is equal to J radio button 1 dot is selected. So if this statement is true, if my J radio button 1 is selected, so it will return true, otherwise it will return false. The next is set selected. This checks or unchecks the radio button. So if I say J radio button 1 dot set selected false, this will uncheck my radio button. And if I say J radio button 1 dot set selected true, this will my radio button will get checked in this case. Next is the set text property. It sets the text on radio button at runtime. So when I say J radio button 1 dot set text in double quotes welcome, so welcome will be written against the radio button J radio button 1. Now let us come to the designing part. Now the question is write a program to select class and display the appropriate message. So I have this screen with me. So there are three options: class 1 to 5, class 6 to 8 and class 9th and 10th. If class 1 to 5 is selected, it should display the message primary classes. If class 6 to 8 is selected, it should display the message middle class. And if class 9 to 10 is selected, it will display the message secondary class. So to make this screen, I will add first the label control so that select class will appear on the screen, and then I will add three radio buttons. Let's see how to add radio buttons. To add radio button, drag and drop radio button control from swing palette into the design area. So this is a design area. You can select the radio button control from here and drop it in this area. Now select the radio button by clicking on it. So when you will select the radio button, the properties of the radio button will open up, and in this property you go to text and type class 1 to 5. So this you can see here in the text option, I have written class 6 to 8 at this time I have written. So whatever class is there, you just give the text here. And similarly, you drag and drop the other radio buttons also. The 3 radio buttons will be dragged here. Now you want all the 3 buttons to fall in one button group. So for this, let's see how we can add the button group. To add button group, select the radio button and select button group property. See, this is the J radio button 3 selected, and I will see, you can see this is the button group property. You choose the button group in which all the 3 radio buttons are going to fall. So in this, the button group is 1. So select the same group for all the buttons. So after doing this, select the other button and select the button group 1 for the rest of the radio buttons also. And after all the radio buttons have been associated together, clicking on any of them will show an association between them, telling us that they belong to a group. So you can see here, if I click on any of these buttons, I can see the link lines showing their association. It means all of them, they fall in one group. So this is very important to put them in button group. Now next part is the coding part. So what I want, if I click the first button, JRadio button 1, this is JRadio button 2, and this is JRadio button 3. So when I click the first button, it will say it must display a message, you are primary class student. If I click on this button, it must display a message, you are middle class student. And if I click on the third button, it must display a message, you are secondary class student. So how to do all this? Let's see the coding part. To write code for the radio buttons designed in the previous screen, either switch to the source window, or you can also double click the radio button to reach the source code window. So you can see there are 3 button codes, J button 1, J button 2 and J button 3. Now add the code to display the message, you are primary class student using J option pane. So you can see here J option pane dot show message dialog null comma within quotes you are primary class student. And similarly, I've added code for the other 2 buttons also. And as this is the J option pane, so don't forget to import javax.swing.j option pane. Now my application is ready. I can run my application using Shift F6 key. So when I will run it, and it will appear like this. And when I select the first option, I will get this as an output. Now let us talk about the text area control. Text area allows editing, displaying of a multi-line text. I think you remember that text field is used to add single line of text, and suppose you need to write multi-line text. In that case, you need text area. It automatically adds vertical or horizontal scroll bars as and when required during runtime. So examples of text control can be comments, address, etc. And on swing control palette, it appears like this. This is my text area. Now let us discuss few of its properties and methods. The first property is a line wrap property. It indicates whether line of text should wrap in case it exceeds allocated width. So wrapping is allowed only if this property is set to true, and by default it is set to false. Wrap style word. It sends the word to next line in case line wrap is true, otherwise it results in the breaking of word. So if you do not want the breaking of word, so this property must be set to true. Then rows and columns. It is used to set number of rows and columns preferred for display. You can set the number of rows and columns which will appear on your form at the time of run. Text. It is used to set the text displayed on text area control. And let us see few methods. The first one is enabled. It returns true if text area is enabled, otherwise it returns false. So the example would be boolean b is equal to j text area 1 dot is enabled. So if it is true, it will return true. If it is enabled, it will return true. And if it is not enabled, it will return false. The next is setText method. It sets the text on text area at runtime. So you can write down j text area 1 dot set text and then within double quotes welcome. Next is the getText property. It gets the text from the text area. So you can write down string str is equal to jtextArea1 dot get text. So whatever text is stored in jtextArea1, that will be extracted and stored in str. Next is editable. It returns true if the component is editable, else false. So I can write down boolean b is equal to jtextArea1 dot is editable. So this command will return true if the component is editable, otherwise it will return false. Append, a very important property of text area. It is used to add text at the end. If you simply say set text, if there is already some text in the text area, that will be wiped out or overwritten. But if you don't want the text which is already there in the text area to be overwritten, please use the method append instead of set text. So it is very important, and it adds the text at the end. So wherever the text which is already present in the text area, it will add the new text after that. So you can give the command jtextArea1 dot append. We are studying Java. Now let us learn one more control, checkbox control. Checkbox is used when multiple options are given to the user and the user can select 0 or more out of the given options. In radio button, we can select only one option. However, in checkbox control, we can select multiple options. On swing control palette, it will appear like this. You can see this is my checkbox. And let us discuss few important properties. The first one again is button group. It is used to specify the name of the group of button to which the checkbox belongs. If there are many checkboxes in your form, you can group them using button group. Selected, it sets the checkbox as selected if set to true, otherwise by default it is false. And let us understand few methods of it. Is selected, this returns true if checkbox is checked, otherwise it returns false. So I can give the statement boolean b is equal to jcheckbox1 dot is selected. So the checkbox is not selected, it will return false, otherwise it will return true. The next is set selected. It checks or unchecks the checkbox. If I say jcheckbox1 dot set selected false, it will uncheck, or it will uncheck the checkbox jcheckbox1. Set text, it sets the text on the checkbox at runtime. So I can write down jcheckbox1 dot set text within quotes welcome. So this text will appear on jcheckbox1. Now let us understand checkbox and text area control with the help of an example. Again, this is the designing part. In this question, we are writing a program to accept the games user likes to play and then display them in the text area. So we have added 6 checkboxes here: badminton, swimming, table tennis, golf, basketball, football. And according to the user checkboxes checked by the user, each entry of the checkbox checked will be here in the text area. You can see here the badminton is checked, so it is saying I like to play badminton. And table tennis is checked, so it is saying I like to play table tennis. Golf is checked, so it is saying I like to play golf. And basketball is checked, so it is saying I like to play basketball. And the numbering is again the same method. This is J checkbox 1, this is J checkbox 2, this is J checkbox 3, then J checkbox 4, this is J checkbox 5, and this is J checkbox 6. So to add a checkbox, again drag and drop the checkbox control from the swing palette into the design area. Now select the checkbox component. You will see the properties of checkbox. Now set the text property of checkbox to badminton. This is the text property of J checkbox 1. Similarly, drag and drop other checkboxes also. Now add the text area. Drag and drop the text area control from swing palette into the design area, and then you just have to do it. And if you want to customize it, you can add the number of rows and columns which you want to appear at runtime. Now let's see the coding part. Now we have to add some code to all the checkboxes, so that whenever a checkbox is clicked, the line corresponding to that checkbox will appear in the text area. You can see in the text area we are writing multi-line text. So for each we are writing like this. For the first checkbox, J checkbox 1, that is, this is my first checkbox, I will give the command J text area 1 dot append. See, I am using append, I am not using set text, because earlier I have already told you if you will use set text, the code which is written here will be removed from the text area. So if you want to add the text every time, use set text, use append method. I'll give the command jtextarea1 dot append. I like to play badminton. And see, I've written /n. You can note down that /n is a character which is used to move the control to the next line. If I do not use /n, all my lines will come one after the other, and my output will look messy. So if I want all the lines to appear in different lines, I must use /n after every line. So for the checkbox 2, I will add the command jtextarea1 dot append. I like to swim. Again, if I use set text here, then this line will be wiped out from the checkbox and only this line will appear. That is why I am using append, so that I will not lose my first line. So for checkbox 3, I will say jtextarea1 dot append. I like to play table tennis. For J checkbox 4, I will add the command jtextarea1 dot append. I like to play golf. For J checkbox 5, I will add the command jtextarea1 dot append. I like to play basketball. And for J checkbox 6, I will add the command jtextarea1 dot append. I like to play football. You can see whenever I click the checkbox, the line command corresponding to that will be executed, and see the corresponding message in the text area. So let's once again see the difference between radio button control and checkbox control. Radio button is used when user has to select one option out of many mutually exclusive options given. So you can see here, this is an example of radio button. All the radio buttons are represented by a circle, and out of them I can select only one option. Checkbox is used when multiple options are given to the user, and the user can select 0 or more out of the given options. So here I can select more than one option, or if I wish, I cannot. If I don't want to select, it is also possible, and it is represented by a square. So this is all for this video. If you like this video, kindly give thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.